Okay, so the loser hairdresser bleed the chip. Fuck, man. Oh my god, the way she's like, literally, the way she does this, and it's like, okay, like you mean literally go, oh my god, like, it'd be like, oh, come home, like, oh god, give me an aspirin gel, I've got a migraine. It's like, why do you go there for haircut and treatments? Like, could be useful. She's got some really heavy set criminal friends. Like, fucking loser. Oh my god, must have been so dragged up, Povo Plev. You can so tell. So I was playing pranks on her once because you could clearly see it was always like, so I'm going there, I'm just a client, like going there for a haircut and treatment. So I only met her in August 2013. Anyway, it's always like, who is he? Who is he? So this is why there's so much damage in my life in the last 11 years. I'm like, oh my god, okay, these people aren't friends of mine. Thanks. I'll tell you who's a friend. Okay. Anyway, it's like, who am I? I'm a client that comes here for a haircut and a treatment, and you're my hairdresser. That's it. Like, if I see you out, I introduce you as my hairdresser. Don't blur the lines because I pay your wage. You're in the service industry. I'm paying your wage, sweetheart. Okay? So, fucking these types of deadbeats. So she was like, you could clearly see she was trying to gather shit once. And I'm like, yeah. I just, everyone like thinks, I was like, oh, I bet you're a real rebel at school. I'm like, yeah. Like, yeah. And we used to do this. And we used to bash, because, the whole thing about Roman Catholics bashing up Jews. And so it's like, yeah, because so we used to corner the Jew and bash up the Jews. It's like, no, we didn't. No, we never did that. We just, because that's the reason why I have foreskin, because I'm Roman Catholic. Well, it's actually against Roman Catholic religion to be circumcised. It came into part as a modern, well, it was a modern thing that was done through, through America in the 1950s, and Australia. It's very white. It's very, very white. Episcopalian, Presbyterian Church of England. It's very white, sort of like uncultured. But funny fact is that the Nazis in the Second World War used to check on the first thing, so if you were circumcised, because back 100 years ago still, it was a big no-no for Roman Catholics to actually circumcise. So that was one of the first things, so that they would check. So Nazis used to check to see if you're circumcised. That was the first thing, because Roman Catholics don't circumcise. It's just not done. So it's against the Vatican. Well, it used to be very against the Vatican rules. And Roman Catholic religion is under the Vatican. So, which my family is strict Roman Catholic on my mother's side, going back hundreds of years. Dad's side's different. So anyway, let's get off track there. So I can put my skin back and it looks like it's circumcised, but it's not. But anyway. Oh my god, so I was like full on, like, these people are just losers. Like, if you ask a stupid question to me, I just give you stupid answers. It's like, okay, you're a deadbeat. Oh yeah, I was this rebel. Yeah, I used to bring scotch to school as a rebel. No, are you fucking insane? As if. Myself and my twin sister have barely drunk alcohol in our life. Occasional aperitif, glass of wine, nice things. We're not scrubbers. And all this rubbish in the last 11 years, it's like, oh, you know what? You people are just such losers. Such deadbeats. It's gone on for 11 years in two countries. I'm sitting back going, oh. Well, if police don't actually start waking up to themselves because they're so dumb, they still think that 2016 or 2018 was real, but that's because they're dumb. If they had a brain, they wouldn't be workers of the government. So if they woke up to themselves and realised that, oh, what Justin said was the truth, and yeah, by not investigating and doing their job with these people that actually broke laws in my life, that's called police corruption. Fuck. They are fucking deadbeats in Australia. Anyway, so I've said things that's true, and you literally have people think you're meant to retard. I'm like, oh my god, you're insane. Like, because literally, like, where you'll see it on my birth certificate, where when I was born, where my parents, so the builder Mark Ian Fleming and my mother, who's a paralegal, Carol Ann Purdy, where they were living. And instantly, idiots grab hold of that address now and think, oh, that's what it is. And I'm like, no, it's slums now. Can't you see the difference? And idiots don't realize that all those houses weren't there. It's like, Mum sold it in April 1989. Those houses were not there. These were horse studs, 10 minutes from Parramatta. Do you not get it that everybody that had money moved and your low socioeconomic people moved in because what the government, and I've said this so many times, I'm blowing the faces, people are like, oh, he's from here. It's like, you think you're from here? I'm like, we owned land there. All those people are living on the land that we owned. Okay? We owned land there, and then when the dynamics were changing, my mother moved. Like, my mother got everything in the divorce, and then she moved. We sold it and moved because low socioeconomic people were moving in. I'll tell you exactly what happened. This is why I can relate to Pauline Hanson so much since 1997, because she was talking about the changes of Sydney in the suburbs and the ghetto. What happened, and exactly what happened to our neighbourhood was, it was a beautiful neighbourhood with long driveways, tree-lit driveways, big houses, swimming pools, landscape gardens, horses. And it was walking distance to a train station, cafes, two major train stations were only like 10 minutes up the road. Like, you have Parramatta train station, like only 10 minutes up the road, Westfield shopping complexes, and there was all these big houses on acres of land, which is really nice, and they should have kept it like that so that the dynamic stayed and found like something. But they looked at this and say, well, it's close to public transport, we need your land. And that's exactly what happened in the late 80s, early 90s. It was like, we need your land. Because we need to, like, they literally took people, like, well, compensated people for their land, demolished everything to the ground, and then built all of these houses over it. So that's not how I grew up, because that was a nice area where people would actually, have money to go off and buy racehorses. Like not, like, you had poor areas. Where there's always a rich area, there's a poor area close by. But it wasn't like it is now. I mean, we're talking back in the day where it was Bill and Fran Friend had a stud book pony stud not too far from there. You're talking about an area that actually, like our neighbour's house, like, I'm not talking about the one in front of us. When you look at where we originally grew up and moved when we were 10, when you look at the long driveway that used to take you, so the long driveway would take you up. If you kept driving, you drive into the garage. If you make the right, you'll go around to a gate. That gate took you to what you would consider as being where trucks and so forth will go to do deliveries. So you had a long driveway, you had like a sort of like an area where you could park on the right-hand side, but then there was a gate. So when you go through that gate, that would take you around and it'll take you where the delivery trucks or horse trucks would drop off. But if you kept driving up straight ahead, it would take you to a Juliet-style balcony that wrapped around the front of the house. And further, it would take you to another two set of gates that will lead you into the garage. So that's how the house was. And it was a massive house that they moved onto the land, and because of the slope of the land, underneath the house, so it was built up. Dad was always going to turn into 2 stories because there was vacant, what would Americans call it, a den or something? But it was a vacant space of storage that was just underneath the house. That was like the same size above was below, but you could walk in under it because so it was up. So when you walked in, so my bedroom was literally 1 floor off the ground. So if I opened my bedroom window, and we had an old rose vine growing up the side of the house, and if I opened my bedroom window was a whole story above the ground. And it was nice. It was a shit house when they moved it. My parents were teenagers, but my dad was a builder, so he restored the house. So by the time I grew up in it, it was a beautiful house. It wasn't when they brought it, they were teenagers. But it was an old house that needed to be restored. So it's like you watch these people now that are buying these old houses and restoring them back to the max. Well, that's the same thing what my parents were. It wasn't beautiful when they brought it, but when I lived in it, it was amazing. It was beautiful. Like, you actually walked up a Juliet-style balcony, you walked into a foyer, it was actually a really nice house. And there was a swimming pool, landscape gardens, horse stables, and so forth. Now, when you're looking at that driveway, to the left of that driveway was an original homestead. Now, the other properties, so we had the trotting track up above, but the other property to the left of it was an actual original homestead that was from that spot. And that was stunning. That was our neighbour's house. So not the one in front, which is Robin and her sons. The one when you look at the house and you go to the left. And that's where we grew up. But I saw that change happen. So when the property across the road was sold, demolished down flat, and all these deadbeat losers, like what I live around here, like literally the scrubbers of pieces of low life shit that live in this area are exactly the types of people that moved into the area where we used to own land. It's like, oh. And then you'll be talking to these losers that just look at a birth certificate. It's like, oh, see, he wasn't brought up rich. I'm like, I never said I was brought up rich, but my lifestyle is still my lifestyle. And you're just looking at an address and a birth certificate without actually knowing the dynamics of the area, what it was in the 80s. It was sold in 1989 and we moved. But my family are from the inner city suburbs of Sydney and have moved. Like, as their families grow, they move to bigger houses and more land. My uncle and auntie that I'm closest to, they live in Bowral. Okay, they're from Parramatta. Mum lives in New England. Dad's at Empire Bay. Mum's cousin still lives in Leichhardt. You know, Dad's mother's from the inner city suburbs of Sydney. Dad's father's from the inner city suburbs of Sydney. Mum's mother's from the inner city. Mum's father. Like, we're all, like, it's just, these people are just losers. It's like, wow, for the last 11 years, I'm there showing you documents, giving you the correct information. Next minute, I've literally had people, that's the losers in Sydney. It's like, oh God, you're so dumb. It's like, oh, he's from a country town. I'm like, so next minute you've got losers that are actually from a country town thinking I'll be like-minded. I'm like, why would I be like-minded to these people? These are poor people. We're not from like a country town like what these people are from country towns. My mum's got a property in Kalala, which, like, the street my mum lives on is an affluent street. You got to be a multi-millionaire to live on that, and you got to be a multi-millionaire to live on Dad's street. They both live in, like, both my parents, which is something that Giovanni couldn't grasp. So both your parents own their own homes separately. It's like, yes. And they both live on multi-million dollar streets. So my dad, Mark Ian Fleming, owns his house and owns it outright since his 30s. And, like, that's Hillcrest Road. And Mum, on Coronga Heights, owns her place and her property. And they both live in extremely expensive areas where neighbouring properties are worth millions. And so their neighbouring properties even put the values of their places up. I mean, the cheapest place in my mother's address where, you know, well, the cheapest place, which is on, like, it's a quarter of the size of her house, and it's on, like, oh God, not even half the size of land. You're looking around about close to 2 million. Yeah, and that's the thing. Same with Dad's. I mean, Dad's neighbour's place, they wanted like something like 2 million for, and it is a narrower block. It's half the size. It's not a brick house like Dad, like the quality. It hasn't got, it's tiny. And they put like hundreds of thousands of renovations into it as well. So the house was really run down when they brought it. I knew the people. They were from, so Dad's neighbour who died, when her daughters, I don't know, or went to a nursing home or something anyway. They're from North Sydney, and that was their holiday house. And then they moved into it when they got older. Anyway, what is that? Not Irene. It's Eileen. No, Eileen. Irene. Anyway. Yeah. So yeah, they both do. It's like, well, Dad was a builder and Mum was a paralegal, so they both own their own homes by themselves. They don't need a partner. Like, they both, and Dad had to pay out 2 ex-partners because he had kids with 2 different women. So, you know. So that's where we grew up, and we grew up with holiday houses, and we grew up with properties, and we grew up with inner city family members where I would still catch up with Mum's cousin, who's Brian Keegan, who's a retired police officer, at the Strawberry Hotel. And I did that like 2 Wednesdays ago. And I'm doing it again next week to keep the connection there. So my mum's cousin. And he still lives in the exact same area where my nan's from, and, you know, where my pop, Reg Purdy. So Reginald George Purdy's from Balmain. And his father, Keith Purdy's from Balmain. And his grandfather's from Balmain. And his mother, Lillian Steele's from Paddington, although she lived her life out in Newtown. After his father, Keith, died, Lillian, Mum did say that she used to go and visit her grandmother Lily, and she lived in a massive, huge terraced house. And she was, as she got older, she never used the top floor. She only lived on the bottom floor, and she used to get my mum to go up the stairs to get stuff out of the top floor. But when she got really old, she went into one of those like units, like nursing units in Newtown. So maybe I don't know if she lived in the terraced house in Paddington or in Newtown as well. But I know she lived the life out of Newtown because Pop said when Amanda myself was born in '79, his mother had more. They used to use this saying all the time: more hide than Jessie, and she was crying at the Newtown Hotel, one of those pubs there, with one of the doctors that was looking after us in the RPA, intensive care, that she can't even get in to see the twins. And she got special permission to come and see Amanda and myself. And my family went off their head because she's apparently the bitch of the family, like my mother. And my grandfather wasn't close to his mother, doesn't speak to her. And the person that should have got special privilege, of course, was Lola and Mary, so my nan's mother. So there's this story that goes around when we were born about his mother, because she lived in Newtown, like walking like distance to the hospital, and had a big sob story that she couldn't see us, like the premature great grandchildren. It's like, oh god, that's so something my mother would do, wouldn't it? But the great grandmother who I grew up with, that was close to and passed away when I was 16, is Mary. I don't know Lillian. She passed when I was like 3 or 4 or something. But my nan always said she's an ups, like she's a bitch and her daughter's a bitch, and me and my grandfather, your father never spoke to his mother, and that's who my daughters take after. So she just sits there, she goes, oh, my daughters take after the Purdy's. They're exactly like Lillian and Val Purdy. So Lillian Steele is her maiden name. So Nana Pop just sit there and go, ugh, like, wanted daughters like Lola's side. We've got daughters like Lillian's side. So, yeah. So all these organisations, including government workers and departments, have it wrong for years. Like literally, New South Wales Police was there saying he changed his name from Rackley to Fleming. Then it was he's adopted. Then it was this, and it's because I look so different, I look ethnic. It's like, yeah, because I'm a Fleming. Like, and it all comes from deadbeat losers of people from the country that that have no brains, and now they've got government jobs. It's like, you're a loser. You people are deadbeats. For the last 11 years, I'm there going, well, you've got wrong information. And these organisations are there going, we get information from wherever we gather it from. I'm like, oh, that's called negligence. So that's a negligent lawsuit waiting to happen. Let me just rack up a couple more years and I'll sue your ass off. Fuck the 200,000 I had in savings. You're up for a lot more than 200,000. Maybe let's make about 2 million. We're technically just the surveillance alone. So if I had to go off the monitored and surveillance, that's criminal, and use it where it was a payout for non-wage loss. So a non-financial loss payout for being monitored and surveillanced is just under 500,000. So alone. And government departments such as Housing Commission are not exempt. And there's no exemptions for being a government worker and actually breaking the law, such as video recording the person within their own apartment. That's a criminal offence. You just can't do it. You can't do it. And those privacy laws are there for a reason. So, which is supposed to be taken seriously by the courts. Oh, by the way, it's a jailable offence. Like, for example, if I'm naked in my apartment and someone looks into my apartment and I'm naked, it's a jailable offence for them, not me. See, I don't have to have curtains. I can live in a complete glass house and not have curtains. You aren't legally allowed to look in. Okay, that's how the law works. And it's there to protect people because there's peeping toms that were just staring other people's windows. Like those women. Like the bitch upstairs. Maybe she should go back to her own country. Like, fuck me dead. Like, Australia was a good country once when everybody minded their own business. I'm going to leave the video post there. But fuck, there is the biggest fucking losers that have harassed my life in the last 11 years since 2015. And they're all sitting back. It's like, go check out the laws. I adore Nina. I emailed her every law that was broken, the criminal charge attached to it, and every one of them has a money value to it. So we can stop talking about that it was only $200,000. Okay, because it's more than just only $200,000.